The Situation Room this morning, 6 minutes after 9, Wednesday, the 18th of October 2023. Bring your questions. Ask lawyer Alfred Ndambiri and journalist Munia from his experience as he's working on a series with Africa Uncensored on land and fraud in the country. Remember, next week on Monday, new show premieres on Maisha Magic Plus on DSTV and GoTV. And if you'd like to catch up with them, just dial *423# and download my DSTV app or my GoTV app. Or you can just catch the show on Maisha Magic Plus, DSTV channel 163, GoTV channel 3. Hey, City, remind us the day's proverb, tafadhali.
Yes. Proverb is from the Republic of Rwanda. You hide the fact you hate me. I hide the fact I know.
You hide the fact you hate me. I hide the fact I know. We've heard the interpretations. City, as you were going to the top of the hour, you were asking the gentleman in the studio, very many people in this country know, so it's Shamba in Shags. Shamba has never had title, but we know this family lives here and their land begins from this road through this Kayaba to the river.
Everyone knows.
Mzee has died, Mzee has subdivided, so firstborn son, secondborn, like that. You buy land. You know there's no title, you're just buying an allotment land. But you, like you said, CT, you know you're buying that because you know it's cheap. And there are very many cases of that.
That's a selling point.
Your question.
My question is this. The vast majority of land in this country, I asked the question because the wakili is here. Is it titled? Has it been demarcated? Has it gone through the process? So that you can argue that, yes, you may not have a title, but the process that enables you to have a title has actually taken place. Why? Because all you require is not a generational change. All you require is for the patriarch to pass away, and the buyer has a problem. Immediately.
Correct. Very true.
People That's come true. And say, haukuuziwa hii shamba.
Ni kweli.
That's even before he tackles that. You know, there is confusion that was created by the colonialists first. And that's why we still have people talking about injustices. People were displaced from the so-called ancestral. So even when you refer to people staying at a certain place as ancestral, sometimes it's not, according to other communities. There are communities that claim that this is our land. For example, the Maasai community were displaced in very many places, and they still claim ownership of that land. And then, like I was highlighting to you about the division that came after, the sad part is that we didn't do our due diligence to subdivide our land in the whole country with some honesty. And what happened that when we got independence, it is you were told hakuna cha bure. So kama hakuna cha bure, so it's somebody who has something to buy land that occupy a certain part of land. So for the people who didn't have a job that time because there were no jobs, where would you have gotten a land? So the people who had a position, maybe working for those regimes, got an opportunity
to purchase
the land. And those who were connected already to the government of the day purchased a very big tract of land, therefore displacing the smaller communities amongst their own communities. You know, so that's the first injustice that happened. So even when we come to discuss about who owns what right now, there's still some unaddressed issues from our independence. That's the sad part.
You know the thing about land that puzzles me, and this one genuinely puzzles me. What is it about us and land in this country?
Yes, perfect. Thank you. I also have for 45 years asked myself that same question. And it arises from the reality. You see, in our first year university, when we were introduced to land law, there's this act called the Land Control Act. It has a provision that says within the agricultural areas, no land should be less than 2.5 acres.
No land belonging to an individual. Or
no land
at all.
Must not be subdivided beyond 2.5 acres. And even
if
today you have that provision.
Okay.
Then I found that in that time areas like Kisi, even in the 1970s, 80s, the land which was titled through processes of inheritance had been subdivided to such small units.
And titles issued.
And
yet the law
itself, who was giving the consent that land in those agricultural areas is subdivided to less than 2.5 acres, the chairman of a land control board and their members. Now, the area Kisii, you'll find people were already building houses kwa miti. Kwa sababu huku chini, hakuna mashamba. Even today, you'll find that happening in so many other places. Not necessarily people building houses on top of trees, but subdividing land to less than 2.5 acres.
Yeah.
The reason why even then legislation was passed for agricultural land to be at least of that size is so that agriculture, as business could have some meaning. 2.5 acres, if you gave me 2.5 acres today, I can go, if it is in some central parts of Kenya, plant coffee trees, something like 5,000, trees. With 5,000, I can become a good coffee farmer. 5,000. But if you told me to go, I have now had our land subdivided to 1/3 of an acre. If I wanted to plant coffee trees, it can only be like 100, 150 trees.
Maybe
It's nothing I do.
maybe what I would say about land with us is basically based on what you were influenced in terms of capitalism. We were colonized by the Britons. And that time, they were ruling the world, right? And what it took for them to capture the whole world and become the superpower that time, it was after the agrarian revolution, which was all about land. Then we went to industrialization, where you needed more tracts of land. That's where they could go all the way to Southern America, all that area, and come to all those areas, basically for bigger tracts of land. So when they came here, they introduced us to that kind of capitalism. So when we got into power, we also attracted to adopt that system of capitalism from our own. I don't know whether we were socialists or we were.
No, actually, this issue of you pointed out something very important. The part of the country that was associated with an absolute fascination for land was this mountain area here.
Yes. Yes.
Now, unfortunately, it's no longer the case.
It isn't. Yes.
Everyone is fascinated.
Now it's everywhere.
Exactly.
No, it's a national occupation. Everyone is.
And now you see, now it's connected to power.
Yes.
Because when you have that tract of land, you are able to control some few things in power because it's pure capitalism.
And you see, that's where for me, this whole concept of insincerity comes in. The fact that you claim to own land, and I'm talking about that 1/8, huko Murang'a, you're not being honest, you're not being sincere. And it's, if you're not...
but to be insincere means you know and you're pretending.
Yeah, exactly.
But do you actually know?
You know, because...
They believe that they own the land.
Yes.
I was going to give the example of a state in the US, Kentucky. I was there like 25 years ago. Their law on land ownership. One, you must own land not measuring less than 50,000 acres.
That's a good country. So you said state.
Yes.
A good state.
And, yes, and even when you have a family, for example, at the age 16, they either agree to be employed
Into this farm.
into that land because it's a business, or they go out look for employment elsewhere.
And own their own.
Right.
They own 50,000.
Yes.
You can go to other states. I mean, it depends now on your interest. But the concept still remains. Land ought to be associated with...
There was farming in that state, and historically, that farming was conducted mostly by slaves. Okay?
Yes.
So, if you are a huge landowner, you also needed many slaves. And it makes sense.
You're now a rich man.
You are a wealthy man.
Yes.
Incidentally, that state, when it came to slavery, no, it isn't associated with the slavery. Slavery will go to Akina New Orleans, but Kentucky is in central part. It's also the same in Britain, the Midlands. The law relating to land ownership in the Midlands, agricultural areas, when it comes to minimum acreage, it is also not less than 30,000 acres. So it's not only in the US. I have an example relating to this, what we call the Delamere land. I read, a history of, the Delamere family. And even when they came to Africa, way back in the 17th century, because they started their journey from through Somalia, by the way, not through Mombasa. It is in Somalia where they were owning more than 200,000 acres. Then they realized because of the weather climate, after 7-10 years, it wasn't giving them benefits. And that's when they started moving inwards. And they ended up somewhere in Molo. They stayed there for about 30 years and then went down to Naivasha. But the concept still remained. We are here to do business. We want to produce food.
Sure.
We cannot produce food on 5 acres, 10 acres. When they wanted to introduce the dairy farming, they brought 1,500 cows from India, dairy cows. Only 700 made it to Kenya. The rest died on the way. When the 700 found their way in Naivasha, the Maasai told them, ng'ombe ni wetu, umefanya vizuri kutuletea. Kwa sababu, like you're saying, the Maasai believed kila kitu yenye it's quadruped ni yao. But they also didn't last another 3 months because that was a new breed. So for another 20 years, they couldn't do dairy farming. I'm saying it is the concept. For us, we believe kuwa na shamba, it doesn't matter the size. Yeah,
It's independent.
hata sasa tunaambiwa housing development.
But you see, they did well to do the production, but at the end of the day, they displaced people. Where are those people now? They were massacred.
No, they were not. You see, again,
Not
the
really.
population, there are no people
Not
there.
really. They didn't necessarily have to displace
Yes,
people.
there are no people.
Because if you look at the area you're talking about,
Yeah.
for instance,
Yeah, there's a lot
it's
of people.
It's semi-arid. It's not the
Exactly.
most fertile land that
No.
you would come across.
They denied people their rightful
The people in
use
Central Rift were
of the
moved
land.
to Narok.
In Laikipia.
Yes.
Yes, but Central Rift, does that
That
cover
was
Naivasha?
Laikipia all the way to Naivasha. That part.
Still, the population-wise, remember what was the Kenyan population?
Yes,
Okay, that time there was
were
more
few,
Kenya.
but they were displaced. That's what. That's
Only thing
that's
is
the
that
point.
they were denied use of the
their own
that-
land.
Previously, they were using this as
Yes.
their grazing lands.
Yes.
They could
You
come
are
and move
absolutely right.
one
You
area
see,
to the other.
using grazing lands, since we've diverted there, let's go there.
No good.
Grazing land depended on seasons.
Yes.
Yes.
So people could move all the way from Narok to Narumoro.
No,
Yes.
from Kenya to Malawi.
Yes,
the way.
yes,
Yes.
exactly. So
Yes.
as you passed by, all that land was yours.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
The whole Tanzania was
Dependent
Masai land.
dependent on
Yes.
your
Nah.
strength of your team.
Nah,
Yes.
I think you know the point I'm making.
Yes.
Yes. They believed
Yes,
that
they
it was
believe-
their land.
Exactly. Yes.
Right? And they claimed that this is our land.
Right.
They fought other communities, they kept them off that land.
Captured
So they
society.
decided this is
And
our land.
it will take like 50 years to go to do the round.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they come back.
They find other people.
Those are interlopers. But then it's the same argument that if animals could speak, they would say it's the same. Yes.
Okay.
Anyway,
No.
Ndu, there are many questions on social media.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Let's
So
see.
there are quite a lot here. So first one, can I sell my share in land owned in common? So there's land owned in common. All of us have come together. We own it. Can I sell my share?
See, when you talk about a share in land owned in common, it depends, it varies. Is that land registered in the name of a company, a limited liability company, which ideally is the one that would own a share? Or you're saying a portion in that common area? If it is land which is owned in common, all of you are equal, are the same.
For all of it.
For
you're
all of it.
right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, can we decide in this all of us own it? Can I say, please give me my share, and I want to sell it to somebody?
No, you'll
else?
have to
So
change.
that person comes in and now
You'll
becomes in common.
first have
with you.
to have changed, altered that interest, the one in common. So you go through a process,
Yeah.
that changes. The interest, it not be registered
Yeah.
as in common, but in, say, the three of you,
Okay.
in equal shares.
So
Then once it is, the interest is changed, it becomes possible. Otherwise, if you're joined together, you can only do things
Together.
Okay.
Yes.
I guess the question is that. I mean, when you say you own land together,
Yes.
is it 3 names on this land?
Or for
Is it one name that of a company that is?
Is it? Are you limited
Depends,
to how many
yes.
names you can have in a title deed?
You
Okay.
can,
All right. So the next one is, what strategy or steps to follow are best when you're trying to avoid fraudsters?
For me, it's investigations and due diligence. And do not rely on hearsay. Make sure whatever information you get is real, genuine, honest. So investigate, and the process of investigations are not necessarily expensive. Perhaps in terms of time, Yeah, you
That's
can give value, but they are not expensive.
And when you get it, utilize that land. Do something.
Exactly. Don't leave it.
Don't leave it.
Remember, you ought to have had a reason of wanting to own it.
Wait. I buy land and then you're telling me what to do with it.
Yes.
I mean, surely.
Yes, from the situation that we are in.
Yes, if I want to let the land sit there, can I not let grass grow on my land?
You'll meet a
Fine,
fence there.
exactly.
So
but
grow
letting
grass.
grass grow doesn't mean you didn't want the grass to grow.
You'll meet a
You
fence
can-
there.
You can farm hay, for
Let's be
example,
honest.
the grass. Yeah, and
You'll
sell
meet a
it.
fence. Whether they are genuine or fake owners.
Yes.
You see,
You must use it.
What do you want to do with the land? You want to
What do you want to do with the
No,
land?
because
He's saying
It's
that
mine.
it's mine. Why should you come and tell me that I must? Why
it's
not?
like telling me I have bought a stool, I must put my feet up on it.
Or I must sit on it.
On it. I mean,
People out there are selling every available land.
The
it's my
current,
stool.
the current government
Yes.
has already made proposals that they want to have the legislation passed in terms of we must not continue having dead assets. Dead
Please,
It's
like-
my asset. It can be as dead as I want it to be. It's mine.
That's
You
okay, but
know
the
it
reality
is
on the
okay.
ground is that
That's what you're being told. The reality is, you buy a stool, you leave it at the gate, come tomorrow morning.
Yes.
You know,
Oh, stool yangu, oh, stool yangu.
you know the reason why I'm making this statement.
Yes.
You're saying use it.
Yes.
We have situations where people have land and they're even using it, and still they don't come and put a fence. They just change the title.
At
and,
least-
and here you are. No. You are never safe. This is really the message.
Of course, that's true.
Whether you develop
Agreed.
the land, you don't
Agreed, you're
develop
never
it.
safe.
So essentially, this Ministry of Land, what do we do with it? Because clearly it is a problem.
When
must
you
clean up the
introduce this
system.
concept, development.
Yes.
You see, you need to go back and ask yourself, what is development? And I want to use the same example of grass. In Nakuru, there are people who own thousands and thousands of land and they grow grass.
Yes.
That's using land. Majority of them don't even necessarily take, the grass buyers, as it were, to that land. They don't visit, but they earn an income. Perhaps when you're talking about development, the concept majority of us have, ni manyumba, makubwa, marefu,
Weka apartment.
You know,
You-
I came across
that
that
is not-
concept of development.
Development has so many concepts, and that's why whatever development you're talking about must go and must meet the legal requirements. The two concepts must work together.
Once upon a time, the government would actually allocate land to people. It was predominantly agricultural land. And the understanding was that you would farm.
yes.
Not the understanding,
So the
it was a
condition.
requirement.
Yes.
You're being
So it-
allocated land to
To
farm.
So it makes sense.
Yes.
Because it's land, I'm supposed to farm. Now,
Yes.
if I don't farm,
I take it away. Government takes it
that
away.
one makes a lot of sense. And in
Yes.
fact, you never get the title until there's evidence that you're actually doing what you're supposed to do with it. Yes. But I'm saying, I bought my 20 by 30, whatever you call it.
Okay.
Yes.
It's mine. Okay?
Remember, even if it is yours, when you talk about owning land, you only own land 6 meters above and 6 meters. 6 meters below and 6 meters above. After that, it's not your land.
No, that bit, that's
Above the ground.
that one is actually a philosophical discussion.
No, it's not philosophical. It's legal.
You know, I'm telling you, it's philosophical.
Why?
It's philosophical because is there anybody who buys land with that knowledge that I only own 6
I
feet
am
under
sure
and
that
6 feet
there
over?
are
No,
very
no, no.
many people who do not know that.
No, the vast
It's 'cause they
majority
don't
of
need,
people
Actually,
they don't need anything 6 below.
Exactly.
No, whatever
The
is
problem
under
we
there
have,
is
the problem-
public.
It's public.
Yes.
The problem we have right now is because land grabbing has become a business. So there are people out there sourcing for a place to grab. So the moment you don't develop your land, they are on it.
Basically, I get what Sam is saying is advising. Once you buy that piece of land, do something to show your existence around that
There is
piece of-
someone.
You had a
around
purpose.
that
My
property.
You
friend,
had a purpose.
there are people
If
who
you leave it
fenced,
like that,
Eric, the people who fenced property,
na bado inaenda.
even they built a counter suit, mabati
So to
kila
come to what
mahali.
you had asked,
Okay.
yes, I agree.
Okay.
To come to what you had asked, we
Yeah.
must clean the system. We must see people getting
Yes.
punished.
Yes, correct.
People must be behind the bars.
And-
We
and-
can't have
yes.
people
and even
roaming
employ
around
someone to
cartels,
sit on
all
your
over,
plot to live in that
practicing
counter
impunity,
suit.
and nobody's being punished.
Exactly.
The
You can't
person,
have such
the
kind of a
person
country.
takes off on a weekend to visit his family, wherever the family is. You find your counter suit gone. Okay?
To-
The Maui that you've been accumulating to build your property, gone.
How many cartels are behind bars right now?
I want to
speak? Nobody.
I want to follow up on that punishment. If it is the information I saw circulating in the social media last night,
Yes.
that today about 30 public officers who had been assigned duties roles in the Mavoko area were today at 8 p.m. expected at the CID headquarters. 8 a.m. Exactly. If indeed you are the land registrar, 2014, 2020, and you are the one who was signing those title deeds, come on, you must face the law. If you are the chief who was sitting in those land control boards, if you are the DCI for whom a report had been made, that this land has been grabbed and you did nothing. I mean, I wish I was the judge. I wouldn't require 2 years, to have those trials,
Alfred,
But let's not see it for
Alfred,
cameras.
the problem is this: cartels also morph and evolve, because it can't be a cartel unless it's a group of people. Some morph and become politicians. Some become very powerful politicians. Some are in political parties that are in power. Yes. Some are probably in political parties that are in the opposition. But whatever it is, they are not people who ordinarily anybody would point a finger at and easily get to. And yet, it is them, and because of the positions even they held previously, that they were able to perpetrate what they did. And that's why they even had the influence then. So they didn't acquire the influence now. They've always had it. Now they have even more influence.
And you are very right. Let me give you a good example on that story we did on Stuart, the investigation on the land in Karen. He did his own private investigation and revealed that this person who was grabbing his land has all those people you've mentioned. He was communicated with all of them. He was in communication with all of them. He had politicians. He had some guys from DCI. He had some few guys from judiciary. He had some few guys who are even journalists. He wanted to air some stories for
It's an elaborate scheme involving very many people.
Yes.
So what we're talking about is like a disease that is fast spreading and is becoming common, but it's a disease. And what we are seeing is the manifestations of it and the extent to which it has gone. Because by the time you have a situation where a secure system like that Ardhi Sasa can be infiltrated. So
I think it takes on a leadership, because you remember in 2002, after the NAC win, you remember the fight against corruption, even people giving back their land. I remember Emmanuel Karisa Maitha giving out his land in Malindi. I don't know who else. It started in a very good way before we reverted to whatever we were doing in our.
we actually didn't revert. It was a multiplied reversion, because what came after that was worse than what we had had before.
Yes.
Much worse.
We can still make attempts to necessarily cure this illness, because it's this illness.
I agree.
And for me, one way, and it's in the simplest of terms, the easiest, is not keeping quiet. When you talk about politicians, for example, politicians, all of us are politicians. Let's not again deny. Politics is what we are talking, what you deal with on each everyday basis. Politics cannot last forever in terms of those in high positions, low positions and all. We have histories, and not just in Kenya, even from the Bible, even history of other countries. You'll find people who are so powerful at one point, and then at another, they are nowhere. When we make decisions not to keep quiet, to take action, we are saying that little small step that I will take will contribute to bringing a bigger solution. When I see something wrong, let me not, for example, fear that so and so, who I will go make a report, will refuse my son, my daughter, to attend another school, another university, or that same person will send the police from the nearby police station to arrest me on trumped-up charges. Come on, let that happen. But at least take that little small action. Let me necessarily not fear that you'll kill me. Because remember, if God wanted you, even as we sit here today, if God said the 5 of you will come together, that's what he will do. So take action. Using the example of the development in Nairobi, how many neighbors today cannot sleep because the house next to them has been demolished and construction is going on at night? Yo kelele ya excavator, but you only complain to your
Immediate
mother,
neighbor.
your father, your wife,
there.
but you do not take a little small step. Do even a letter to
You play your
spice.
part. And I agree with you because I think we have so many professionals in this country, and what we are lacking is also ethics of duty.
Yes.
Because we'll find that yes, we understand, we have good heads, but we are using the stomach.
We also have good stomachs. Our stomachs are better than our heads. 28 minutes to 10. Let's take this break. We'll pick your calls after this. 0719-012-600. Sam Munia is a journalist and assignment editor with Africa Uncensored. Alfred Ndambiri is an advocate of the High Court of Kenya and an activist in law and development. Back shortly after this break.
Spice.
What is it?
I'm tired. I'm trying to understand. Where are we talking about? Because we said, look, you're saying it's all over the world. Sure, it's all over the world, but this is a special. This what we are seeing here is unique. That here you are, because I understand that there are those individuals who you've not done. Okay, somebody has given you. You say, okay, Sam, you have land. Yes, okay. Who's your guy? This is my guy. How much do I pay? We pay. We move. You don't know really, but truth be told, that there are individuals, there are groups of people who have done the due diligence. They've taken a walk. They've sat down. They've seen. They know this land. They've made the payments. They pay their rates. This land belongs to them. But we're talking about the reality of a situation where there is somebody in the system who is changing the name from Eric Latif to somebody else. It is his land. It is his property. He owns it legally. All the documentation that is required by law for him to have it, he has done. But the same system, not an extra entity. Yes. The same system that has given him this, there are individuals within that system who go in, tinker with the thing, change the name. This is not a movie. This is something that's happening today. He's covered the stories. This is reality. Same system, changes the name.
Corrosion from within.
Then the agencies which have been tasked with the responsibility for security, your security, there is collusion between the people in the system and these agencies who even have the effrontery to come to you in your space and demolish your home. It is yours. They've changed the system and said it belongs to somebody else, but they have collected money on top of that thing. They can even come and demolish your house.
Yes.
While you are there.
And it's your house.
It is your house. They know it, like the proverb. They know it's your house. You know it's your house. You both know that it is yours. But they've taken money. They've changed the name. And then you are saying that we should make noise and go to the security agency. Who are you reporting to?
So they are compromised.
No.
Let me and that's why I'm saying that this system, this one, is particularly unique.
Let me put it this way. Just like we have this concept of a government, the same way you're introducing, or rather, we are discussing the issue of a system. In my view, it is best when you do not agree to deal with systems. You deal with individuals. Same, a government is me and you. And remember, that's why we, again, make the biggest of errors. We believe a government is somebody else.
It's those guys.
It's those guys. Government ni mimi na wewe. To that extent, if that concept or that idea materializes in you, you will not be talking of systems. You will be saying, I saw this officer, police officer, si lazima abebe ile badge na iko na jina yake. If I'm to take action, it is against that person. Yeye ndio atajibu maswali. Wewe si ulikuweko. Siku hizi tuko mpaka na picha. Our legal system has even allowed us, for example, to use photos as evidence. If I took a photo showing, that tag, that this is the officer who led, a group of 50 others, the action will be against that officer. So, trying to move away again from this belief that always, you can hide in the term system, cartels, government, hapana. If we can badilisha that pole, identify individuals. Lawyers, specifically, I keep insisting, when you're taking action against an agency, do also investigations to know who was the officer by name in charge at that particular
Cartels have
time.
lawyers.
It's exactly. Let that lawyer of the cartel now come and try to exonerate that officer. We have the judge who will make a decision.
But therein you see if the judiciary is involved.
Even the judiciary are individuals. Remember, they're also individuals.
It's an individual judge.
Yes, exactly. The individual judges.
And how they are doing it.
Actually, these things don't quite work that way.
They can't even make them.
They can. I'm simply saying, see, remember your dad kept reminding me, vitu vya ground. Okay? Kwa ground, if the cartel exists in Ardhi House, there's a cartel within the judiciary.
Yes.
It is not possible for any of these things to work without that connectivity.
Yes.
So, if it exists. Now, I'm saying this because even if you are going to resist, you need to know what you're resisting. You need to know what you're up against, the reality of it.
Truth be told.
Yes.
Because here we are. Look, we cannot run away from, and I think this is something that even if we talk with, I like to call it citizen governance. If we are saying that we cannot run away from this thing, we cannot also run away from the reality that it must be a huge responsibility that you take on yourself. Look, as we have these conversations, because we need to be live in these conversations that are happening today, you can imagine an individual who, because we do not consume the information that we should. Sure, there's a role that we must play there. But you can imagine an individual who does not have the knowledge that you have. The house that they have put up, this is an example, a house that they have put up, believing that the transactions that they have done over the years are solid, right? They wake up in the morning to find the house on the ground. It is upon the shoulders of this same individual that we are now putting the responsibility of saying, do the due diligence and go and actually find out. The thing is done.
Yeah, but allow me to quote one of my interviewees who told us that's Wanyiri Kihoro. So as long as we continue rewarding corruption,
It will never end.
it won't end.
It only becomes fatter and fatter. You see, when you're talking about, you know what is expected. I like using some, biblical versions. When Jesus came to this world, I believe he knew one time he will die on the cross. Had he, because he knew he'll die on the cross, told, God, sorry, I'll not go down. Would we today be talking about salvation? So it is true. We, for so long as you're in this world, there's so much you know and expect, and it is that which you know and expect that ought to guide you in terms of.
Saying, let's fight for what we believe in.
Right.
Don't give up. Don't be.
Yes.
Play your part.
You those people who are trying to hide behind system, we are serikali, we are an institution.
System equal.
Yes.
Equal. Cartels wako.
But then identify the cartel and say,
We are unmasking them. That's why we're investigating
say
and exposing
some
them.
is a member of their cartel.
Do you know how many people have said and have used this, there's these cartels don't exist, to dissuade individuals from believing that those things are there? They have used that very thing to come and say, you know what, these cartels actually don't exist. It is not true. It is true. And I think one step towards going that is the realization of their existence.
Do you actually expect
realization
somebody
of their
who's a
existence
member of a cartel to
tell you
admit
that they
are a
exist?
member of a cartel?
No, they can't.
They can't.
Fine. But you see, through, for example, this program, there are quite a number of those who are watching us today who
There are cartels watching.
Yes, and I believe they'll start looking at some of these issues differently. That is why when you hold such programs, in a big way, you're contributing to the creation of awareness. So,
Alfred, I agree with you. You know why I agree with you? Because I have seen change in this country that I never thought I would see.
yes.
I have seen things which I had assumed, okay, ikai. I did not think I could actually walk to immigration and get a passport without knowing anybody. Because I was a young person in an era where you really need to know somebody to get a passport. And it was a really lengthy process. I didn't think I would see a situation where the matatu industry would be tamed and that there would be order. But it requires leadership that stood firm and people followed. You see? They said, we actually have a government that is serious about keeping this. We will support it. Okay? But as you say correctly, it vanished. But the efforts were clear. They went to the police. They went to the judiciary. They were serious.
Yes.
Now, all I'm saying is, It was like a one-time event.
You didn't experience this thing again.
The promo.
It was a
ran and
seasonal
the program.
It was seasonal.
We can recreate it. We will recreate it, but not can. We shall recreate it.
No, but
If
you
we
have to
believe.
put the right people in power. You can't just.
You
And
see,
the right-
it starts with the individual action. So
Yes.
we have to put the right people in
Yes,
power.
exactly.
We
Not
have
them. They don't put themselves in
Yeah,
power.
To, we have to
Exactly.
identify the right people.
Yes.
Let's go to the phone lines. I've got David on the line from Nakuru. David, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning, all in the studio.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
The conversation is very educative. Now I'm asking. Now I come from Kakamega, and this Kakamega forest, which was exercised by Her Excellency, Madam Ruto, 200 acres of it. And our politicians have gone gaga. They cannot speak about it. Why? And yet, why could they come even during Uru's time or Kibaki's time? Why now? They want to exercise Kakamega forest. Why? Why have they taken Kakamega forest, 200 acres?
David,
Yes.
the right information, please. They have not excised Kakamega Forest.
Okay.
Yeah. What? And we even had a question. We asked that question to the governor of Kakamega. Kakamega
Okay.
Forest is the only rainforest in the country.
Okay.
And in a campaign to preserve Kakamega Forest,
Okay.
Kakamega Forest and the Kenya Forest Service are working with partners. So what
Okay.
the Mama Rachel Foundation is doing is they have
Okay.
taken that part of the forest and they are campaigning for tree planting and protection of the forest. Not excised. It's
Okay.
still part of Kakamega Forest.
Okay.
Yes.
And
Thank you.
Ask him to go and plant trees there also.
Thank you for educating me.
David, actually, Wakili is telling you, go to Kakamega Forest, say, nataka hii mahali Mama Rachel ana protect. I want to plant a tree. Go
Yes,
and plant
exactly.
a tree
Participate in that
Okay.
process.
there. Mm.
Thank you so much.
Asante.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for informing me and educating me.
Asante. But there's still more questions even on social media on issues of land adjudication and understanding land and understanding how to deal with the cartels.
Indeed, there are. One, and I mean, so the question is, how do we solve this issue? And that was along one of the first issues that we raised, saying, okay, a lot of people who own land, own property, that this property actually doesn't belong to them. There's a process that you need to go through to ensure that you do, getting your name in the registry, in the green card, whatever. How then do you go about that and make sure that what you have is actually yours?
Yes, if presently, say you have a title, and out of the discussions we've had today, you feel you have this a little small belief that this title, may have some questions. Kindly start a process of investigation of due diligence. You go to the land office where that title originated from, apply for that search. If you are not satisfied with the search result, ask for a green card. I'm saying it is because you feel that the document you are holding may not be genuine. Remember, there can be only one genuine title document. Do not fear. It is not expensive. It is only your own commitment. And that commitment will only come because you believe in what you have and you want to sustain it. You don't want in another 5-10 years, somebody else coming, to challenge you, to fight with you and the like. So start taking that step even today.
All right. There's another issue. If you've bought a home that is within a larger group in an estate, which a lot of people do today, whether it's an apartment or a house, standalone house. How can you ensure that piece of property is actually yours and that you get the proper documentation for it?
Same process. Okay. I believe it is a house, a standalone, but developed within a larger area.
Yes.
So the larger area is the one that has a title, right? So chances are your standalone house may be operating on a lease as opposed to a title.
Okay.
This the law that has been with us for many years, 25 years, it's called the Sectional Properties Act. It was amended, I believe, in the year 2019. And the requirement is that if there are houses, there are units developed within the same parcel of land or of having one land reference number. Each and every one of those houses units also ought to be allocated land reference numbers. And the process would lead to you acquiring a title to that house or that unit. So what ought to happen, even those that were in existence before 2019, if there's the management company, which in those original processes you would find that units are sold and then you are allocated shares, and then after all the units are purchased, there's a reversionary interest. That reversionary interest ought also today to belong to that land, to that management company, because all the other units have their own reference number, their own titles. So what is supposed to be happening is that when an architect is given instructions, to draw a plan of apartments, that architect's instructions only ought to come to an end after establishing that all the units that he has drawn have their unit land reference numbers. And indeed, no authority which is supposed to give permits or permission for development, for construction, ought to give that permission until it is satisfied that all the units that are being constructed have their own individual titles. Is one of the requirements. And therefore, the person asking that question, please go back to what you have. Is it a share that is indicating... Is it a lease? One, start with a share that is indicating that you own that unit. Is it a lease? If it is a lease, find out and whether it has been developed to a land reference, has been allocated a land reference number. If not, now go to the management company and engage a process that will lead to you acquiring an individual land title to that house.
Several questions on the line. Shege in Nairobi, good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Hello everyone. Hello everyone in the studio.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Those cartels originate from the land's office. If you do not cough up, nothing works.
Very true.
I'm a witness. Nilienda kufanya search. After a week or two, nothing. You get a broker, it works.
So you coughed something, it works.
I got result, yes. So you don't cough, no result.
So what did you get? A search result?
Do
you know whether that result is genuine or was it manufactured by the broker?
It's genuine.
No, you need to find out from the authority itself, not from that broker. Remember, the broker is a cartel, the term cartel. So, if indeed it is the land registrar who was not giving you the results of your application for a search, most likely it is the registrar that had a problem. This broker who brings you this result must have manufactured from elsewhere. So you trust the broker as opposed to trusting the officer authority, who ought to have been the one giving you the right, correct information. Sorry, your search result is indicating 1, 2, 3. If it takes too long, get the name of that officer and then start following up on him or her. But do not trust the brokers. Actually, the moment you start giving money to a broker so that you get those quick, fast results, indeed you are contributing to
this work for the government.
Or
whether they are brokers working for the government or individuals, they are still human beings. They are working on two legs.
Or you could be falling prey to that cartel, that system that wants you to see a certain result.
Right.
Shege, go back.
Yeah.
Go back. Thank you for calling.
I know the owner of that piece of land. So the moment I got the results, they were genuine.
And it had the name of the owner, the one that you know.
But you don't know how that owner had gotten that land, remember?
I know the history. I know the history.
You know the history?
Okay.
Yeah, I know
then you didn't need to conduct a search.
Okay.
If you knew.
You just wanted to confirm.
For the research had to be attached to a document.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sawa. Thank you, Shege.
Asante. Bye.
John in Nyandarua, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Fine, thank you, John.
Yes, how are you doing?
We are well. How about you?
I'm also fine.
Yes.
I'm still in Nyandarua.
Okay.
And you have You have a very, very good discussion today.
Asante.
And my concern, and I sympathize with whatever happened in Maboko. Now my concern is about Nyandarua. Because I can foresee the same problem coming here in Nyandarua, particularly Henry. There was a company here which had the plans to invest in Weed Park company.
Yes.
Which had a proposal to invest in Nyandarua.
Yes.
Now what they did, they took the original titles that were issued to the original owners of Nyandarua, the mother title, regardless of whether people had bought land within that land. They went and did a search at Nyandarua registry, and up to now, the people who originally owned land cannot get the original title. In fact, there are neighbors who tried to subdivide land, their father's land, but they could not get the original title back. You cannot access even the search at the registry of Nyandarua for those lands.
John.
So, yeah?
Please clarify something. So people had their titles.
Yeah.
They gave the titles to this company.
Right.
Why?
Those people who are coming to put up those with
the wind farm.
The wind farm, the wind things. Well, I don't know what to call them. Those farms.
Wind farm.
Wind farm, yeah. So when those people came, they came and took the original title that had been issued in the 60s from the owners.
So it was one title.
One title, regardless of whether it has been subdivided or not.
Okay.
They disregarded that.
Okay.
And they went and took it to the Nyandarua registry. They went with the whole title. So even today, if you went to do a search for that title, you cannot get it because we understand there is a caveat on that land. So we wonder whether these people took loans with the title. We don't know. But there's a possibility.
Anything is possible.
That is what happened.
John, how much land are we talking about in terms of acreage?
People are being given over 100 acres or 200 acres originally.
An individual would have 100 acres, and how many people are there in total?
There are many.
5,000, 10,000?
No, they can't be 10,000. Maybe about 100 people, maybe.
Okay.
See, John, you can only know whether the land has a caveat if you do a search. So when you say you now know there's a caveat, it means it's possible to do a search.
People have done the searches, but
yes,
they found out that the land has a caveat.
Exactly. Now, from that caveat, you will follow up and know who has placed it and the purpose.
It is the wind park company.
Correct. Then take action against the wind park. Actually, your process is not difficult. You already have, the route to follow.
What about if they carried the loan with they took the loan with those lands?
No, find out. A caveat is not necessarily actually to deal with a loan. No, caveat is an order that stops further dealings. It's not anything to do with the loans.
It has nothing to do with the loan.
No, it has nothing to do with obtaining loans using the land as security.
Thank you, John.
But I want.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for coming to the end of the show. Asante sana. We've also been having Ali from Garissa on the line. Ali, we are on to the final minute, so you'll not even be able to ask your question. But let's say hello to you. Hello, Ali.
Hello, Mr. How are you?
Salama sana. Wewe tutadili na wewe siku ingine. Time imeisha. But thank you very much for calling and listening in today.
Thank you.
Asante. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us today. Wakili Alfred Ndambiri, activist in law and development, and journalist Sam Munia, who is with the Africa Uncensored. Thank you very much for these 2 hours and all the enlightening conversation.
Thank you very much. It's been an honor.
And thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation and for your participation. We'll be back tomorrow morning, God willing, Thursday, the 19th of October, 2023. Do have yourselves a lovely day today. El Nino could be here.
El Nino is here.
But take care, people. Good morning, 10 a.m.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your